Hey everyone, we're here with Thyrick Pitts. I'm Nick DeMeglio with NFL Draft Diamonds. How are you doing, Thyrick?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Good, good. Can't complain. Another day in paradise, I guess. So just a little background on Thyrick. Obviously, he's a wide receiver coming out of Delaware this year, 2023 NFL draft prospect. At Delaware, Thyrick was a three-time All-CAA selection. We were actually former teammates at Delaware for a little bit. He led the Blue Hens in receiving yards three out of the last four seasons, and actually led them also in touchdowns in the last two seasons. And he's one of seven players at Delaware to record three touchdown catches in a single game. So obviously, highly decorated receiver coming out for the draft this year. So we want to just kind of put this video out there so people can get a better idea of who Thyrick is on and off the field. um, so let's get started. Thyrick, you want to just kind of give us a walkthrough, kind of a little bit about your journey, kind of your path and everything like that?
Yeah, sure, man. I appreciate everything you said earlier. But yeah, man. So I grew up in South Florida. Obviously been playing football my whole life since I was 4 years old. Moved around a lot as a kid. I moved up to New Jersey for a little bit during high school and finished my high school in Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia, while I was in Northern Virginia, I got recruited to go to the University of Richmond with Coach Rocco initially. And then he got up and left to Delaware. And like I'd never heard of Delaware, never been to Delaware. But I just trusted in him, throughout the process and, made the jump here. And the rest is history, man. So that's kind of how I got to UD and where I'm at right now.
Okay. And then I guess you didn't really mention it, but I know, I guess you kind of come from a pretty athletic family. Your mom and sister both playing college basketball, each at FIU and then Virginia. So I guess it obviously just shows your athletic genes and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I guess initially when you got into football as a kid, like what was that like? I'm guessing your house was probably a predominantly basketball like house in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up loving basketball too. I mean, I played all sports, man. I played ran track, played baseball, basketball, everything. But we were definitely a basketball family. And I know when I gave up basketball, I wanted to just focus on football. My mom was pretty upset about that because, that was her love. So I just fell in love with football, man, and I just knew I didn't get that same feeling from basketball when I'm running out there on Friday nights
Mhm.
with all the fans, and it was just there's nothing like football, man. So that's why I kind of gravitated towards football.
Okay, gotcha. That's kind of cool though, coming from like a family that has been there, done that kind of in you were able to, I'm guessing, kind of get an idea of what you were getting into before you even got to being a college athlete. So
Yeah.
um so obviously I know you said you bounced around a little bit in your early days growing up. Do you kind of want to tell us a little bit more about your high school playing career, kind of where
Yeah.
that was at, kind of your experience in high school?
Yeah. So I was kind of a late bloomer. Like I was probably 155, 160 pounds soaking
Okay.
wet um, up until my junior year. So I was really under recruited. Like I didn't have any offers until like really late. Um, and although we did come from a basketball family, like we didn't really understand how the whole football recruiting cycle works.
Hmm.
So I would just notice that I would go out and play against these guys that are 4 stars, 5 stars, 3 stars, and I'm just like, bro, like I don't understand
Yeah.
why I'm not getting any love, like any love or attention. So I was like, all right, did the camp circuits and things like that. And it started to pick up for me a little bit later. I got a whole bunch of like FCS, smaller schools in the mix. Um, but yeah, man, so that's I kind of, have that chip on my shoulder now to this day because I just feel like I was kind of overlooked and I just feel like I'm still being overlooked. And I don't really know why, but it is what it is. I have a chip on my shoulder and it makes me better for it, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah. I couldn't agree with that more. And then kind of in terms of the game of football, obviously you said you've kind of been passionate and you've had a love for the game for quite a while. Is there anyone that you kind of looked up to or kind of have molded your game around, whether it's like past or present in the NFL?
Yeah, I say past, I was a big T.O. fan. I mean,
Okay.
just watching him in that Super Bowl coming off the broken leg with the Eagles, man, it was just like, dude, I was like, this dude is
Yeah.
Superman. like that was my favorite receiver. All the extra stuff he did is whatever, but just when we talk about in terms of football,
On the
like
field.
I just thought he was a beast, man. That's who I wanted to model my game after. When I look at current guys, someone who's kind of similar in that aspect is kind of like an AJ Brown
Mhm.
type. Just a dominant presence, will go up and get it, can run past you, can run through you. Um, and then I also really like Devontae Adams just because his releases and footwork is just out of this world. He's somebody who got into the league and struggled a little bit in
Mhm.
the beginning. Wasn't on par with Aaron Rodgers, and you saw them kind of button heads.
Yeah.
And as he progressed, he really became an all pro and a pro bowler and one of the best this game has seen. So I really admire that, in
Okay.
terms of Devontae. So I'd say AJ Brown and Devontae right now, and then all-time favorites T.O.
Okay. Gotcha. And then kind of getting more back to like your college career, stuff like that. What do you say your time was like at Delaware? As a, player, on field, off field, everything like that.
I think I couldn't have asked for anything more. I had the opportunity to leave my senior year. I entered the transfer portal and I realized, I'm not going to find anything that what we have here at Delaware. The people that I've met, the connections that I've made lifelong friends here. And I'm sure a lot of people say that about their schools, but that's just my experience. And obviously the football aspect being here with Coach Rocco and then Coach Cardi for my last year, they've really helped develop me into a really good football player and a good person, I think. So just I can't thank this university enough for the opportunities it's given me, and hopefully I can keep going and make everybody proud. So
Okay. And then I know you kind of touched on it, kind of playing under two different coaches and stuff like that throughout your career at Delaware. Um, I guess kind of do you want to tell us a little bit about how you were used in the Delaware offense, how you were utilized, stuff like that, and then I mean even maybe how that changed a little bit between your last year under Coach Cardi and then with Coach Rocco previously.
yeah, so with Coach Rocco, his first 2 years, we ran more of a pro style 12 personnel type of offense. Um, and towards the last couple of years, it was more of a spread, up tempo, no huddle type of operation. Um, so there's obviously differences in both. The first couple years, I was just mainly used as an outside guy. One-on-one matchups, we need a big post, we need a big go ball. It's third and long, and we need to play. So I was kind of just had one type of role, in that within that structure. When you only have two receivers out on the field,
Yeah.
12 personnel. So you got your slot and you're outside, and I was the outside. The last couple of years, it's opened up a lot more, where I've thrown passes. I've thrown passes in two-point conversions. I've been in the slot. I've moved around. I played everywhere. I lined up in the backfield. And that's a lot more fun, I think, where I can show what I can do in different spaces and in different parts of the field. So I think it helped me grow as a player. Like the first couple of years, it was kind of very basic and structure wise and what I was doing. And it was kind of just like copy and paste every day. And the last couple of years, it's been more like I had more freedom to work and
Hmm.
really work on my craft. So I would say, it helped me develop as a player of both offenses.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I mean, it kind of just adds to your versatility, especially as somebody who's kind of looking to play at the next level and everything like that.
Mhm.
Um, I guess when you're studying film, kind of prepping for a game, are there anything specifically that you kind of focus in on?
Yeah, man, I like learning everything I can about a defense, and about their scheme. I like knowing everything I can about DBs, how they play certain situations, how they play man versus zone. Um, how good are they with their feet and footwork? That's a big thing for me too. Like, are they a type of DB that's going to panic when you eat up that cushion and you get into their face on a go route? Or are they going to be more calm? Are they going to have blind spots where I can attack leverages at different points and get behind them, break a route off, and they're not even gonna know. How comfortable are they back there? How good are they dealing with a physical receiver? Do they like to get physical with you, or will they kind of back down with you? Obviously, how fast are they, lengthwise, how they play the ball skills, everything. I kind of take everything and have a detailed approach about it. And that week, going into that week of preparation, I kind of know how I want to attack them. And
Okay.
once I know how I want to attack you, then I feel like I have the advantage. And I know obviously they're working on film too, so I gotta be make sure I'm not having any tendencies either. So, it's kind of I like that part of the game where it's kind of like chess
Chess.
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
kind of punch, counter punch type of thing. So, and I've always studied a lot of film, and like I said, I'm a student of the game, so that's something that's always come natural to me.
Gotcha. So I mean, like we kind of touched, like kind of when I gave your intro or whatnot, kind of your accolades, kind of your stat lines and stuff the last couple of years. I mean, anyone who looks at your stats at Delaware, you were a consistent producer for the team, year after year since you arrived on campus. What would you attribute kind of that to? And I mean, was there anything specific you were doing to kind of keep yourself healthy and on the field,
Yeah.
consistently?
Yeah, I think I've always treated my body very well, especially in season. Like is this cliche, but people say, the best ability is availability sometimes.
Mhm.
That's something that really stuck with me. Forget where I heard it, but that's something that really stuck with me. Um, and I'd also attribute it, to the work that I put in this every off season. I have a very planned and detailed schedule every off season, and I try to stick to that as closely as possible. I tweak it every now and then. If I feel like I need to work on catching a little bit more. I may be struggling at the top of my break one year more than the other year, so let me work on that more. Whatever it may be, but I try and stick to that plan as much as I can because I know the results it produces. So that's kind of what's helped me be so consistent. It's just sticking to that plan and taking care of my body and just following the process year after year after year. And it can get repetitive, but when you're successful, it's that never gets old. So
Yeah, I think that's kind of one thing, kind of being a professional athlete. It's kind of may get repetitive, but that's kind of how you become one of the greatest in the games and stuff like that. So that's great to know. I guess in terms of if somebody throws the film on and is watching you play, what would you say some of your best attributes or traits are?
yeah, you're gonna see somebody who's physical in the pass game and in the run game, who's not afraid of contact. You're gonna see somebody who has genuine joy for their teammates when they score, and loves to compete. I think one of my biggest attributes is that I excel in contested catch situations. I feel like when the ball's in the air, it's mine, and I think that's how every receiver should look at it. I have like, I've been told I have a large catch radius. And one thing I really feel like I've done this past year for sure is kind of build my football IQ up a little bit more and be able to find those little zones and holes in the defense and know how to attack them.
Okay.
So yeah, I think all around, man, and I feel like I do a good job of tracking the ball as well, catching it over whatever shoulder I need to and keeping the defender away from the ball. So,
Okay.
I think overall I have a solid game. I think it will transition well to the next level.
Okay. I know you kind of talked about your ball skills and whatnot. Obviously, like anybody throws the tape on, you've had some crazy catches, some great one-handed grabs, and stuff like that. Anything specific you do on a daily basis, kind of to improve on your I don't know, your ball skills and whatnot, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we always work on the jugs, but just getting catches with the quarterbacks, especially whichever quarterback that you're working with. So with Nolan, the one year we had Zach, but this past year Nolan, just getting catches with him, repeating and repeating and repeating, knowing how he likes to throw the ball, catching it in the same spot, tucking it in the same spot, looking at it every time, and just building those good habits, man. That's kind of what I try to focus on is when it comes to catching.
Okay. So I know we obviously just kind of touched on some of your attributes, strengths, or whatnot when you're on the field. Personally, I think it's just as important to address like a weakness or weaknesses you kind of have in your game. It kind of shows that you know where your problem spots are, and if you know where your problem spots are, you can kind of improve on it. So do you think you have a weakness or two in your game, or can you speak to that you're
Yeah,
looking to improve on, obviously, but
Yeah, for sure, man. I think my biggest weakness, when people look at my film, is that I had a limited route tree earlier in my career. being lined up outside, there's only so many routes you can run. Um, so I feel like this last year I've kind of expanded on that and worked on getting in the slot, running things off of motion, off of emotion, recognizing man versus zone and those types of situations, and trying to work on those intermediate routes and creating more separation on every level of the field. Sometimes when you get a big receiver, it's just okay, just throw him the ball, throw it up, and let him go make a play. But just kind of getting the nuances of the receiver position as a whole, in the slot, intermediate, all those types of things is something I'm working on and want to keep improving. Especially, you're gonna have to know it at the next level. You're gonna have to be able to run every route. So, that's just something I think about all the time, especially right now during this process.
Gotcha. So I guess in terms of your time at UD playing, you have any best moments or best memories?
Yeah, I think the best memory was the COVID season when we made that run in the playoffs, and it was almost like a movie script, man. Like from the start of that season when Dejan ran that kickoff back, on the first play of the game, to making it all the way to the Final Four was just, a hell of a run, and it was so much fun with those guys, man. So that's something I always look back on my time at Delaware as a fond memory for sure.
Gotcha. So I know obviously kind of you've told everyone a little bit about your time at UD, a little bit about your path, playing high school football and, growing up. But I guess, is there anything else that you would say that kind of makes your journey to this point in your life or whatnot different than, maybe another prospect coming out this year?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I think I have coming from a small school, you have a giant chip on your shoulder. I was never a blue chip prospect. I was never highly touted or highly recruited. So that's always stuck with me, man. I think that's always given me a little bit of a mental edge too. When people are tired and lazy and don't want to work anymore. I just have that little bit of extra push that I want to go and I want to compete. Like I'm a super I'm, you know, I'm a super competitor, like with everything.
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, man, I just think that's kind of what separates me from everybody else. It's like I want to win at everything I do, no matter what, and to a point where it gets a little like sick.
Yeah. It's that
you
dog you
know,
have in you, I guess. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, and I think it stems. I really think it stems from just being such as overlooked all the time and being a small school type of prospect. So, I'm just hungry, man. I want to get to work wherever whatever opportunity I get. So yeah, man, I think that's what separates me.
Okay. So I guess outside of football, wanted to ask you, you have any fun hobby or kind of anything interesting that a lot of people may not know about you that you
Yeah, a
do, I
lot.
guess, outside of football?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't know that I'm bilingual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I speak Czech. My mom is actually from the Czech Republic. That's, she got recruited to play basketball from overseas. So I spent a year there when I was in grade school. And I have a whole bunch of family there, obviously. So we speak on a weekly basis. So I speak Czech.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so yeah, that's a little different. I don't ever really have to use it than when I'm
Yeah.
speaking with my family. I wish it was like Spanish or something, so I could have got better grades in school, But
Yeah.
but yeah, man, that's I guess that's a fun fact. A lot of people don't know that.
Okay. So obviously, Delaware's Pro Days next week, coming up pretty soon. Talk to us a little bit about any personal goals you kind of have for yourself going into it.
Yeah, I mean, after watching the combine, I have a really good idea of where I am and where I want to be,
Hmm.
compared to a lot of guys in my class. And I think where I've been training so far, the numbers I've been putting up so far, which would put me in a good spot compared to a lot of those guys that weren't Indy. So, um, I'm just kind of, stay true to the process. And once those numbers are posted, hopefully they're what I've been training at, and we'll see, man. But
Okay.
I feel good. I feel really good, man. I feel like I'm in good shape. I feel ready to go.
Okay. And then kind of, I guess, building on kind of the whole pro day and all the work you've been putting in the last like 3 months. You want to tell everybody kind of where you've been training at, how that's been going. I know you mentioned putting on like 15 pounds of lean mass kind of since you started in January. So, obviously what you've been doing has to be working for you and you're doing all the right things. But if you want to speak more to that, I guess.
Yeah, so I was training with Test Football Academy in Fort Lauderdale. And I mean, that was just a great experience to be able to go there with a lot of highly, like I said, highly touted guys. A bunch of guys who are, in Power Five programs, and just kind of see where I stack up against them. So this last 10 weeks, that's what I've been doing. And every day it's just my focus has been on March 22nd. I've been laser
Okay.
focused, locked in, and just want to give my best effort on Wednesday. So their training program has been great. Obviously, like you said, I gained 15 pounds of muscle and lost whatever percentage of fat. So I think I'm in the best shape I've ever been, and I'm laser focused for Wednesday.
Gotcha. Um, so I guess a few more questions before we wrap up. You know, kind of, do you have a favorite route? And if so, why?
My favorite route is, well, it's interesting. Everybody's gonna say go route, obviously, but mine's the circus route, like the circus corner route where you just kind of
Mhm.
stem it in, and take a high angle, let the quarterback throw you down. And I just love that because I love attacking the leverage of a DB and making them uncomfortable. It's like when you're at the line pressed up with somebody, you give them the stick outside, get inside, they're in panic mode. They don't know what's
Mhm.
going on. You get to 5 yard stick again, they're like, oh crap, like what's he about to do? Then you're taking off full speed down the field. They're beat at that point. They're reeling, and then you break it out on them. Hopefully you get them on that inside hip, that back hip. You could give them one more stick and be wide open to the corner. That's just, I think it's a really underrated route.
Okay.
But that's been one of my favorites.
Gotcha. And then, obviously everybody kind of faces adversity and challenges in their life, obviously on the field as an athlete and then even not an athlete. How do you say you handle your challenges that you kind of face in life?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. Well, I have a very strong faith. Um, so when I deal with any type of issues on the field, off the field, personal, whatever it may be, I pray about it. I ask God for guidance. And I have a strong support system. I have great family, great friends who I can go to about any issues. So I think, those two things combined, I feel like no matter what happens, my best days and my worst days, I go to them, you know. So
Gotcha.
um, so yeah, I think that's kind of how I get through any of my issues.
Okay. And then let's just wrap up. Let's get, I guess, one last pitch from you, I guess, to any scouts or evaluators that may be watching this video.
Yeah. Well, what you're gonna get from me, you're gonna get like I said earlier, an extreme competitor, someone who hates to lose, loves to win, a leader. You're gonna get a positive locker room presence, somebody you're not gonna have to worry about off the field. Somebody who pushes themselves to be better and pushes people around them to be better every day. Um, and my sole focus is just winning. No, I've been told by a lot of coaches and people that I just meet, they're like, man, like you're really intense, bro. Like smile, like like bro, like smile, like and I'm just like, nah, bro, like it's time for that. And
You're
there's
locked in.
when I'm working, like I said, I've treated my whole career as a pro, as if I was a pro. Like when I'm working, it's no BS. You know what I mean? I'm all business. So I've been told that a lot. Like, bro, just smile more, like relax, it's fine. I'm like, nah, like that's BS. Like we gotta win. So that's what you're gonna get from me, man, every day in and day out, same guy every day. So
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you coming on. I think this gives a good perspective to people who are watching it, evaluator scouts, kind of who you are, obviously on the field, from your film, but kind of talks more to your character and who you are even off the field. So,
mhm. Yeah, well, thanks, man. Thank you for the interview and thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
yeah, and wish you the best of luck, obviously, next week at the pro day and best of luck with the rest of your journey.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.